They didn't come at you like an enemy. They smiled. They hugged you. They said, "I've got your back." But when the moment came, they vanished. Or worse, they turned the knife quietly from behind. And the worst part? You never saw it coming. But maybe you should have. Because betrayal doesn't happen in a moment, it brews. It hides behind fake smiles, subtle shifts, and silent envy. It builds, until one day it breaks you. But what if you could see it coming next time? What if you could become untouchable, not by trusting less, but by understanding why people betray, and how to never be surprised again? Let's begin. 1. The shadow self and hidden resentment. You've lived long enough to know this. Not everyone claps when you win. And sometimes the silence says more than the words ever could. Carl Jung called it the shadow self, the part of a person they hide even from themselves. It's made of everything they don't want to admit: jealousy, insecurity, bitterness, self-doubt. They bury it deep because facing it would mean confronting the truth, that they feel small, that they feel left behind, that your growth threatens them. You didn't do anything wrong. You worked hard. You became better. You thought they'd be proud of you, but instead they turned cold. The compliments stopped feeling real. The jokes started cutting deeper. And slowly, they pulled away. Until one day you realized, the friend you trusted had become a stranger. But here's the Stoic truth: it was never about you. Their betrayal came from within, from their failure to confront their own shadow. And instead of rising with you, they let their resentment grow roots. That's why Stoicism teaches us not to be surprised by betrayal. People carry storms inside them that have nothing to do with you. And when those storms spill over, you just happen to be standing in the rain. So what do? You observe. You notice the shift, the sarcasm, the distance, the tension in their voice. You don't take it personally. You don't argue. You don't beg them to stay. You simply recognize this. Their shadow has nothing to do with your light. And if your light exposes their darkness, that's not your fault. Walk forward, silently, steadily, and without regret. Because the people who were meant to walk with you, they won't fear your success. They'll rise with you. And the ones who fall away, they were already falling. You just stopped holding them up. 2. The manipulative mask. Some people don't show you who they are. They show you who they need to be, just long enough to get what they want. They smile. They listen. They tell you what you want to hear. But it's not real. It's a mask, a performance. And the role they're playing? The loyal friend, the supportive partner, the helpful colleague. All until the transaction is complete. You see, manipulation doesn't always come with raised voices or threats. Sometimes it's disguised as kindness. Looks like attention. Feels like loyalty. But underneath, it's just need. They don't love you. They love what you provide. Maybe it's your time, your resources, your emotional support, your status. And the moment they no longer benefit from being close to you, they vanish. Or worse, they turn. Stoicism teaches us to judge not by words, but by patterns. Because truth reveals itself in consistency. So ask yourself, do they only come around when they need something? Do they grow distant when you set boundaries? Does their tone shift when you say no? If the answer is yes, you're not dealing with a friend. You're dealing with an actor. And the show ends the second your usefulness does. This is where Stoic strength matters most. You don't lash out. You don't beg for their loyalty. You don't question your worth. Instead, you step back. You observe. And you let the mask fall on its own. Because the wise don't chase shadows. They recognize them. And walk away. The truth is, you were never truly seen by them. Only used. But you're not here to be a tool in someone else's plan. You're here to live with clarity, self-respect, and peace. So remember this. Real connections don't disappear when you say no. And those who vanish when the benefits run dry, they were never with you. Only near you. 3. Toxic jealousy. You started making changes. Getting healthier. Thinking clearer. Maybe you picked up new habits, let go of old ones. You worked for it, quietly, consistently. No shortcuts. No applause. But then, the comments came. Must be nice to have all that free time. Oh, you've changed. Or worse, you think you're better than us now? That's not your growth talking. That's their insecurity screaming. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." And jealousy is one of the most persistent poisons in the human heart. It doesn't announce itself. It hides behind fake smiles, sarcastic jokes, and subtle digs. But make no mistake, it's real. And it's dangerous. You didn't change. You evolved. You got tired of staying stuck. But your progress became a mirror. And some people don't like what they see in their own reflection. Stoicism reminds us, another person's discomfort is not your burden to carry. Jealousy isn't about you. It's about what they feel they lack. Your discipline reminds them of their laziness. Your clarity reminds them of their chaos. Your peace? It disturbs their drama. And so they chip away at you, not with knives but with comments. Passive aggression. Distance. They downplay your wins, question your motives, and slowly try to pull you back to where they are, because they're too afraid to rise to where you're going. But you must not shrink to make others feel comfortable. You must not dim your light just because it reveals their darkness. So what do? You keep going. You let their jealousy expose itself, and then you set boundaries. You stop explaining yourself to those who never truly listened. And you remember this: those who cheer for you in private but mock you in public are not confused, they're cowards. In the end, the Stoic path is clear. Grow quietly, observe deeply, and never apologize for rising. Not everyone was meant to come with you. For the power struggle. Some people only loved you when you were small, when you were struggling, unsure, easy to manage. That version of you didn't threaten them. It made them feel important, needed, in control. But then something shifted. You started thinking for yourself. You stopped asking for permission. You stood taller, spoke clearer, moved with purpose. You stopped playing small to keep their ego big. And suddenly, they changed. They became colder, more critical. What used to be support turned into sarcasm. What used to be advice became manipulation. What? Because your strength disrupted the balance of power. And when control is someone's currency, your independence feels like theft. Stoicism teaches us that every relationship has unspoken roles. Some people don't see you as an equal. They see you as someone to mold, to manage, or to keep beneath them. And when that changes, when you rise, they feel they're losing something. But instead of growing with you, they retaliate. Not always with direct attacks. Sometimes with guilt. Sometimes with drama. Sometimes by playing the victim. Hoping you'll fold, apologize, and return to your smaller self. But you can't unlearn your worth. And you shouldn't. The Stoic response isn't to fight for approval. It's to detach from the illusion. To realize, if someone only respects you when you're weak, they never respected you at all. So what do? You stay firm. You let their discomfort be theirs. You don't justify your growth, and you don't dim your light. Power struggles only exist when you engage. So don't. Stand still. Be silent. Let them show you who they are. And walk away when they do. In the end, you don't lose people like this. You're released from them. Because anyone who needs to control you to love you doesn't understand love at all. 5. Shadow projection. Have you ever been accused of something you never did? By someone who was guilty of it themselves? You stayed loyal, but they accused you of cheating. You were honest, but they called you a liar. You kept your silence, but they claimed you were talking behind their back. It doesn't make sense until you understand the concept of projection. Carl Jung taught that people carry a shadow, the parts of themselves they refuse to face. Instead of confronting their flaws, they look for someone else to wear them. And if you're close enough, they'll choose you. They lie, so they assume you lie. They betray, so they suspect betrayal. They carry guilt, so they project shame. It's not about who you are. It's about what they can't accept in themselves. Stoicism reminds us of one simple truth. What others say about you says more about them. And when a person is ruled by their shadow, they need someone to blame. Someone to carry the burden they refuse to hold. But here's the hard part. Sometimes these people are close. A partner, a sibling, a lifelong friend. And when they project their darkness onto you, it feels personal, it feels unfair, and it hurts. So what do? First, don't absorb the lie. Their shadow is not your identity. You don't need to defend yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. Second, step back. Observe without reacting. Let their accusations reveal more about their mindset than your actions. And third, set boundaries. Because when someone blames you for the war inside themselves, your silence becomes your shield. You are not responsible for their inner chaos. And no matter how convincing their mask may be, the truth always rises, slowly but surely. So stay still, stay clear, and let the projection return to its source. In the end, you're not their enemy. You're their mirror. And not everyone is ready to face their reflection. 6. Narcissistic betrayal. Some betrayals don't come with a storm. They come with silence. No explanation. No apology. Just absence. One day they're in your life. Charming, thoughtful, always there. The next day they're gone. Not because you failed them, but because you stopped being useful. This is the coldest form of betrayal, the narcissistic kind. You weren't loved. You were leveraged, not for who you are, but for what you offered. Maybe it was your attention, your loyalty, your connections, your emotional support. Whatever it was, it served them. Until it didn't. Then suddenly you were too much, too busy, too distant, too hard to manipulate. And just like that, they moved on. No closure, no remorse, just indifference. It's brutal, but it's not about you. It never was. Stoicism reminds us, do not expect virtue from those who have none. A narcissist doesn't see people. They see tools. If loyalty helps them win, they'll stay. If betrayal gets them further, they'll switch sides without blinking. You don't heal by chasing them. You heal by seeing clearly. They didn't lose someone convenient. They lost someone real. You, on the other hand, lost nothing but the illusion. So what do? You don't beg. You don't plead. You don't wait for closure from someone who never gave you honesty. You detach. Not with anger, but with clarity. You stop making excuses for their behavior. You stop replaying the good moments, because those moments were never unconditional. And above all, you remember this. Their betrayal doesn't define your value. It defines their character. In the end, the Stoic path is not about building walls. It's about building wisdom. Let them go. Let the silence speak. And walk forward, not bitter, but better. Dark Stoicism wisdom, turning pain into power. So now you've seen it. The faces behind betrayal. The resentment hiding behind smiles. The manipulation wrapped in kindness. The masks. The envy. The power games. The shadows they refused to face, projected straight onto you. And now you ask yourself, what do I do with all of this? What do I do with the pain, the disappointment, the truth? This is where Stoicism steps in, not as a theory but as armor. Because betrayal, as cruel as it feels, isn't destruction. It's revelation. It strips away the illusion. It removes the people who only loved your weakness, who stood next to your light while secretly resenting its warmth. It doesn't take away your peace. It shows you who never brought any to begin with. And in that moment, the Stoic doesn't react. They don't rage. They don't beg. They don't chase after closure from those who never offered truth. They observe. They remember. And they adjust. The Stoic understands that cold is not cruel, it's clarity. Forgiveness is a quiet decision. But returning to the fire that burned you? That's a choice you don't have to make twice. There is no need to fight the darkness in others. You only need to stop letting it control your life. You don't have to punish those who've betrayed you. Just stop giving them the key to the parts of you they couldn't respect. This isn't about bitterness. This is about strength. This is about building a mind so still, a spirit so solid, that no blade can shake it again. Your peace is your power. Your silence is your strength. And your detachment, that's where freedom lives. Betrayal didn't break you. It broke the fantasy. It peeled away the layer of hope and left only truth. And that's a blessing in disguise. Because now you see, clearly, coldly, fully. Don't carry resentment. Don't chase justice. You don't need closure from someone who was never open. You don't need to make them see your worth. You just need to become someone they can no longer reach. Unshakable, unaffected, unmoved. This is how the Stoic survives. Not by hiding from pain, but by becoming fireproof. So the next time someone leaves you, lies to you, or uses you, you won't fall apart. You'll simply nod. They were never yours. They were just passing through. And you're still standing, colder, wiser, and freed out. If this message spoke to something in you, if it helped you see more clearly or feel less alone in the silence, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment. Let me know what resonated with you. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Subscribe if you're walking this path too. This is a space for clarity, strength, and stillness in a world that rarely offers any. Until next time, stay grounded, stay unshaken, and never forget, you are stronger than you've been told.